My name is Stephen and this is my channel, Heart's Delight Exports. I'm in my shed again today and we're talking about chickens again because I've had a new development. Unfortunately, a short time ago I had one of my chickens pass away on me. It's not really anything you could do. There's a whole list of health issues it might have been, but I honestly don't know if it was something I could have prevented or if it was just old age caught up with her finally. I prefer to think and to hope that it was old age and it was nothing I could do about it. I wouldn't be overly happy if it turned out it was something I could have prevented. Now, shortly after I lost Chicken Little of my flock, it come up on my Facebook feed that somebody was looking to rehouse a chicken. Basically, the only problem was aggression. She was bigger than all the other chickens in the flock, and she was ripping out feathers. He put an ad up on Facebook that he was looking to give her away to a good home. So now I have a new chicken in the flock, very starkly contrasted to my other two birds, both for size and coloration, but she's aggressive. She will actively fight the other two for no real reason. The pecking order comes into this pretty heavily. She wants to establish herself as queen of the coop, which is fine if she remembered that at some point in time she'd established that fact and the other chickens would graciously bow down and let her have that title and everybody could go on and live happy lives. That's the goal. Problem is, that's not exactly what is happening. I'm working on the problem, and I'm not sure how well this is going to work out. I am seeing some encouraging results thus far, but it's a thus far kind of situation. So what I have done is I have isolated Dolly. They had named her Dolly Parton. I think I'll just leave it to Dolly for the most part. But I have kept her, because of, space limitations of my shed and other considerations, I've still kept her close to the other two. So they're forced to interact with each other, but they're not able to fight with each other. Now I'm hoping that this setup over time will allow Dolly to establish her dominance, because it's pretty plain at this point that she is going to be the dominant bird in this flock, which is fine. Once she has established dominance, the pecking order should mellow out a fair bit, and it should only be random picking and poking at each other here and there to help everybody remember this is the dominant bird, this is the queen of the coop, and that, the other two might pick and poke at her from time to time to make sure that she's still feeling that aggression. But at the moment, they're petrified of her and will actively run from her. Again, this wouldn't be a big deal if I had enough room for them all to be able to separate. But the aggression in Dolly means that she will actively seek them out to try to cause another fight. She's not happy with just establishing her dominance yet. She wants to drill home the idea to the point of needless abuse. But the encouragement continues. I have cut a hole in the wall so that they shared a water feeder. This was not so much a great calculated move on my part and more of a move of necessity, in that I only got one waterer for chickens that way. I didn't want to try to go get another one quickly And I'm hoping that if I can succeed in this, that they will all be into one coop and sharing the water anyway. My initial thought was just that, get them to share the water. The consequences of that thought mean that there's a hole in the wall, so they see each other, they hear each other, they know that they're all drinking from the same water, and I'm hoping that it will be just enough association that they get the idea that this one is dominant, I'm not dominant, and we can all get along. That Dolly will restrain herself from fighting them quite as much at some point. Now, I have taken her out of her little isolation pen. She's got a good bit of space. It's not great because it's not as tall as I think she would prefer. So there's no roosting bar. There's a roosting bar in the main coop, which I think might incite a bit of jealousy on her part. I can hope. But when I do let her out of her isolation pen, the first time there was a bit of a standoff between her and Shakira. Shakira is the dominant one out of my original two that's left. Harriet doesn't seem to have a dominant bone in her body. She made one squeak and ran for the roosting bars and just wanted to get away from Dolly. But Shakira managed a bit more of a fight. Not much. It's a lot of wing flapping and trying to jump at each other with claws extended to try to rake at each other. There's also a fair bit of pecking. Shakira did get bitten and some blood was drawn. As soon as I noticed that, I separated them and Dolly went back in her pen. That was the first instance of them getting to know each other. That was, in my opinion, Dolly presenting her credentials that I'm going to be queen of the coop and you guys are going to bow down. They weren't quite ready for that. In putting the water in the joint coops the way I did, it left a hole in the wall. Now, I boarded it over just a little with a couple of strips of wood, enough that I had thought to prevent Dolly from getting out and prevent the other chickens from getting in at each other. Just enough so that they could get close, but not enough to be able to fight. Well, it turns out I hadn't boarded it up quite enough, and Dolly had actually pushed the water out of the way and went in the coop where the other girls were. She is very fascinated with the food that they've wasted on the floor. They have sawdust where she has hay, and at the beginning anyway. And she had been scratching through their sawdust looking for any food that they had dropped. And they ran into her isolation pen and had hidden in the corner as far away from her as they could get. That was the second interaction, and at that point, I figured Dolly's credentials were pretty much set. She was going to be queen of the roost. Now, just a couple of days ago, I came down and I tried some more interaction for them. Last time, Dolly was again very interested in scratching through their sawdust, looking for food that they had dropped and lost, and drinking, that kind of thing. But they stayed fairly close to her. I'd also brought down some noodles, which helps because that's a big treat. Now, Dolly was definitely crowding the food and trying to prevent them from getting any, but they had gotten over at least some of their fear for this treat and were getting in at the noodles and were eating the noodles fairly good. It was a fairly joint effort, so I found that to be a very encouraging sign that they can interact with each other, and if there's enough distraction or enough incentive, then they can get along. So, fingers are still crossed on that one. Now that was a pretty mild interaction that Dolly would peck and pull out a feather, but that is the normal level of aggression. But I'm very encouraged. I'm very glad to see that Dolly is interacting well with her new friends, her new flock mates, and it means that I'll get, at least I hope, some of my storage room back here in the shed, because the temporary isolation chamber that I made for her will no longer be needed. Unless I get chicks. So that's where I'm going to end this video. I would like to ask you to like the video if you thought it was interesting or useful, informative in any way. Give it a thumbs up, that thing. Click the notification so you're told when I upload a new video. I'm still not doing very well on keeping to a schedule, but I am trying. My goal for this year is to upload at least 12 videos. That will be one a month. At times, I think I'm going to try to get a couple going a month and see how many I can break that for. I want to push and try to get more than 12 videos a month, 12 videos a year. I'm not ready to do 12 videos a month. But that means I could really use your help in sharing my videos around so that more people see them. I'm 20 subscribers away at the moment from seeing 100 subscribers. And to me, that's a really big thing. I didn't really think I'd ever get to that kind of point. And if we can do that, that would be really great. I'd really appreciate it. But that's where I'm going to sign off this video. My name is Steven. This is Hearts Delight Exports. And I hope you have a good day. And I hope you have very little trouble integrating your next new chicken into your existing flock. Bye-bye now.